Do you ever want to dive deeper into the Bible, but you just don't know where to begin or struggle to feel like you even have the time? When you read the Bible, do you get frustrated because you know there is so much more in there? You just have no clue how to get it out. Or maybe you just want to know the Bible better and you're looking for any resource to help. Well, then this is the podcast for you. Welcome to the Context and Color of the Bible podcast. We are two sisters. I'm Erica.
And I'm Veronica.
We love to study the Bible and help others understand it better. When it comes to our own study of Scripture, we have found that in bringing back the context of Scripture, it adds so much to our understanding. It actually adds color to the black and white pages of the text. So, Veronica,
Yes.
my kids and I are reading through the Bible, and we're in Daniel.
Ooh.
And
I have
it's
a podcast for that.
I know. Well, it's so much fun because now I'm embellishing, telling them like, hey, here's the stuff, and they're loving it.
Is your husband around when you're doing this?
No, he's in his office.
Yeah, you're totally ripping off of
I'm
his
totally,
teaching.
totally. I am plagiarizing my husband left and right. But that's just a little shout out to our Daniel podcast.
Yes.
It makes the story so much more real and exciting. And it's exciting. I mean, a fiery furnace, a lion's den. But when you add in
All the color. But then I want to say, if people are like, ooh, I haven't heard that, the easiest way is to go to our website. And at the top, there's a menu and it says podcast. Scroll down on that page. Basically, it's a table of contents. It tells you every single book we've studied, and then it tells you what episodes they are and who does the main teaching. So if you also go, man, I don't really like when Veronica teaches, I'd rather have Erica teach, you can go, oh, Erica taught this.
Or my favorite person is Brian because our numbers shoot up.
That is so
when
true
Brian
and
teaches.
frustrating. We need all of you to not do that. It's really annoying whenever he teaches.
The numbers go up.
And I think it's probably because we're bringing in more men.
I'm sure.
I think all his friends are listening then.
Yes. And he always has good stuff to say.
He does, but yes. But so you have a white, basically it's a white, looks like a sticky pad on the page that tells you the table of contents. And then underneath that, you have all these smaller cards that are individual. It'll say like Genesis, and then it'll quick summary. That's where you actually are linked then to a Genesis page where all the podcasts are. So I tried to make our website user-friendly and dummy-proof. Because when I go to things, I go, oh, I can't find this. I want to make it so you go, oh, I know right where it is.
Right. Because I give up sometimes when I can't find it.
I do. There's certain websites I just go, I can't even find anything there.
Right.
So we tried to make it search-friendly, user-friendly. So if you go, oh, what other podcast series have you done? Mm-hmm. Go back and check out our the www.thecontextandcolorofthebible.com. There's also fun pictures. There's behind the scenes stuff. You can find out more what Eric and I do in our free time.
What's free time?
I know. But today we're going to get into Deuteronomy 8 and 9.
Right.
And I'm going to start off, Erica, with you just reading verses. No, I'm not. I'm going to tell you this first. Sorry. Hold your Bible.
Okay.
Chapter 7 urged Israel on to activity and courage. That's what we talked about last week. Chapter 8 wants them to understand how their dependence on God and that they are dependent upon God. So chapter 8, according to one commentary, said perhaps the greatest statement of human dependence on God is in this chapter, that they need God for everything. And therefore, verse 3 is the key. You either choose you're dependent upon yourself or you're dependent upon God. Another commentary said chapter 8 continues to address the dangers of faith that might arise in the promised land. Prosperity may lead Israel to forget her dependence upon God. And Moses is going to base all his arguments on their past history. He's going to use their track record and say, here's why I'm bringing this up and why I'm concerned. Because in the promised land, they're no longer going to have to overcome the hardships they had in the desert. And if they forget the lessons they learned in the desert, they're going to end up turning to other gods. And then they're going to suffer the same fate as the nations whose land they're taking right now. And there's one single appeal throughout all of this is remember, remember, remember.
Oh, that sounds like Exodus.
I know. And I love that because I love that Exodus is God redeems, God covenants and God dwells, and it's always based on memory. And Deuteronomy is always based on memory. Because that's the problem. When you forget what God has done and what you've done, you tend to repeat those mistakes. Because God will promise them many rich blessings as part of being obedient. But what's crazy is those blessings he's going to give them can turn into the very temptations that will take them away from him.
Which is so frustrating. There are times it's like, Lord, why did it have to be this way? Why is it your blessings can make me forget you?
So with that, that's kind of what we're looking at for chapters 8 and 9. If you would read verses 1 through 4.
Okay. Verses 1 through 4. Okay. Be careful to obey all the commands I'm giving you today. Then you will live and multiply, and you will enter and occupy the land the Lord swore to give your ancestors. Remember how the Lord your God led you through the wilderness for these 40 years, humbling you, testing you to prove your character and to find out whether or not you would obey his commands. Yes, he humbled you by letting you go hungry and then feeding you with manna, a food previously unknown to you and your ancestors. He did it to teach you that people do not live by bread alone. Rather, we live by every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. For all these 40 years, your clothes didn't wear out and your feet didn't blister or swell. 4, right?
Yes, please. All right, so let's look at verse 3. There's an awareness of God and your obedience. They're not separate. These commandments are practical expressions of having an awareness of God and serving to foster it. Although the reason God kept Israel in the wilderness was to punish them and that rebellious generation, he also used those years to teach Israel that they are dependent upon him and to test whether they really would obey his commands.
I mean, when you think about it, every day to wake up and there's manna. I mean, that's a huge act of faith.
Every day to walk and your shoes don't wear out.
Yeah, for 40 years, and it probably becomes second nature after a while where you stop even thinking about it or seeing it. But when you really stop to think about it, every day God fed them, every single day.
That's a lot. You know what it's like to feed people every day.
Right.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. And I get tired of the complaining of 5. I can't imagine the complaining of thousands.
Right. But he's testing their obedience and their trust. Are you going to obey? And are you going to trust me? And, I mean, think about it. He told them, don't hoard the manna overnight and don't look for it on the Sabbath.
Right.
That would be so hard.
Right.
Not to do either one. I have some leftovers. Can I keep it till tomorrow?
Are you sure you'll remember tomorrow, God?
Yes.
Are you sure you'll remember?
But yet we all know that track record of when I can look back and see God's been faithful, doesn't always bring that comfort of, okay, God, you'll be faithful going forward. But even those who violated those instructions showed their lack of confidence that God would continue to provide. I mean, now everybody is seeing, you went out on the Sabbath to get food.
You have maggots in your tent. You kept food.
I mean, I just love that God he's punishing them, but in that punishment time,
there's mercy and grace.
Then there's lessons. There's God's going, I know what you're going to need at the next step. And so Israel's hunger in the wilderness was no accident. It was brought about by God to teach the people that nature alone cannot be relied upon for food. And they're going to need that when they get in the land.
Yeah.
He fed them the manna, a previously unknown food, to show them their nourishment depended upon him. I mean, think about it. He just went, okay, the crops are there, go pick them. And this is nope, every day. It's that building that track record, building that savings account of trust me, trust me. And so by the time they get into land, and like we said last week, they're facing down those giants, those huge, powerful nations. It's like, okay, God, you've been faithful in the past. I'm going to see you here. And even that they could wander in the wilderness for 40 years. Children are growing up and their clothes didn't wear out and their shoes didn't wear out. I want to know how the heck they had clothes to clothe a growing child.
Well, my kids are constantly running through their socks.
I know.
It's
or
every
pants
week.
With boys.
Yes. You turn around and the pants are at their ankles.
Right.
And you're like, you just wore those yesterday.
So I want to know how that actually worked in the desert.
They probably just...
Are you just all swapping? I mean,
probably.
Because truthfully, there's times it's like, you didn't wear that long enough to destroy it. I'm passing it on to Erica because my boys were always a little bit older than Erica's.
Right.
But so you go, is it just like a continuous
probably just a
mom swap?
Right. Like, all right, Charles is out today. Who needs the tunic today?
Right. But that it would last 40 years. Can you, I mean, truthfully, by the time I give you something from Caden and gets to Asher,
it's way worn.
It's been well used.
Yes.
You know,
it doesn't last.
If Caden didn't ruin it, and
Chase
didn't
and Micah.
ruin it, and Micah didn't ruin it, then Asher will.
Yes.
So you just go, I mean, God's practicality and showing them in the little things.
Right.
But the little things that are a daily thing.
Right.
You know, clothing your children is not a little thing. But yet it can become mundane, and God showed them how he's taking care of them. All right. Now, if you'll read verses 5 through 6, please.
Think about it. Just as a parent disciplines a child, the Lord your God disciplines you for your own good. So obey the commands of the Lord your God by walking in his ways and fearing him.
Okay. So first of all, the first thing that jumps in my mind is with verse 5 is Hebrews 12, discipline, just because I have that chapter memorized. But also I see, this is totally me. I didn't get this in the commentaries, but I see in verse 5 kind of the idea of, think about it, a belief. And then in verse 6, you see that belief put into action. I think, what did it say? Walk it out.
Obey by walking.
Yes. So to me, that's the perfect capturing of what faith is. It's knowledge plus belief. You know it, and it causes you to do something. So I just like that idea right there. Now, if you'll read verses 7 through 10.
7. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land of flowing streams, pools of water with fountains and springs that gush out into valleys and hills. It is a land of wheat and barley, of grapevines, fig trees, pomegranates, olive oil, and honey. It is a land where food is plentiful and nothing is lacking. It is a land where iron is as common as stone, and copper is abundant in the hills. When you have eaten your fill, be sure to praise the Lord your God for the good land he has given you.
All right, so in these verses, you're going to look at how the land is described here in contrast to the desert they've been wandering around. You have their livelihood is going to be present. You have regularly things coming up. You have abundance. You have well-watered areas rather than that arid, dry land. You have fertile rather than rocky. You have a variety of foods, which all then suggest that possibility of industry, trade, and wealth. So you have this of God building a picture, not just, hey, go into the land and I'll take care of you, but he's building a picture for them of what it's going to be like in contrast to where they've been. Because truthfully, as they've been in the desert, it'd be easy to look around and go, okay, what are we heading for? I need to know where we're going. And so God is so gracious in that he gives that to them. But the other thing to remember is those lessons that they've learned in the desert and the wilderness aren't going to be as apparent when they're in that promised land. Because it's no longer going to be, where's our food coming from? You're going to have abundance. You're going to have, where's the water coming from? Moses had to, hit the rock, talk to the rock to get water. Mm-hmm. They show up and the water's bitter. That's no longer going to be an issue. So you're going to have similar trials, but they're going to be different. And so their dependence upon God is going to be less obvious. So they need to remember. And now verse 10 is kind of a fun one because this one gets into you're going to bless God for the food. And it can actually, the way it's grammatically written in the Hebrew, can either be you will give thanks because the land is full and you've eaten, or you shall give thanks. So it kind of comes into this, you're just going to be so thankful that God gives it to you, or hey, don't forget, you need to be thankful when you've eaten and are full and are satisfied. So this is actually where you get the Jewish practice of blessing God before a meal and after a meal, which kind of makes more sense because oftentimes we sit and we pray and we thank God for the food we're about to eat. But sometimes I should actually thank him afterwards because that was so good.
Right.
I need to be thankful. We've tried that too.
We have to. It's hard to do it when you're not used to it.
Yes. Yes. But also you get the idea of God doesn't just want to merely deal with your hunger. He wants you to be satisfied. He wants you, and that's one thing is we're going to get into more is God just wants you to enjoy life and what he gives you. There is nothing wrong with enjoying the blessings. He gave you taste buds for a reason. Eat the foods you like to eat and taste good.
But
with self-control?
With self-control. And I think that's where praising God afterwards and being thankful. When I gorge my face, I'm not thankful at the end.
No, then I don't feel good.
I don't feel good. And I'm like, whoa, now I'm miserable. And that doesn't even look good anymore.
Right.
When I can tell God thank you after it is when I've gone, oh, that was so yummy. Thank you, Lord. That was just amazing. And I am satisfied, but I'm not gorged.
Right. So with that, now Erica's going to read 11 through 14. And this is the warning Moses gives them.
But that is the time to be careful. Beware that in your plenty you do not forget the Lord your God and disobey his commands, regulations, and decrees that I am giving you today. For when you have become full and prosperous and have built fine homes to live in, and when your flocks and herds have become very large, and your silver and gold have multiplied along with everything else, be careful. Do not become proud at that time and forget the Lord your God, who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt.
Right. So what you're going to have is you might start off praising God for all of this, but it's quickly going to turn into pride. Look what we have. Look what we've done. We all have a tendency to forget the giver in the enjoyment of his gift.
Yep.
And Moses is warning the people, be careful. Because now we're not going to read these, but verses 15 through 20, as you read it on your own, put the emphasis on he. He did this. You didn't. He did that. You didn't. Moses is constantly reminding the people, God did this. You didn't have anything to do with it. Because I want you to look at, though, 19 and 20. Moses says, if you ever forget the Lord your God and follow other gods and worship and bow down to them, I testify against you today that you will be surely destroyed. I mean, Moses is laying it out very clearly. Look, if you're not following God, you're following a false idol. And I'm going to make sure I'm testifying saying you knew better. Like the nations the Lord destroyed you, you will be destroyed for not obeying the Lord. And I'll say, when we get to the prophets and the minor prophets, this is what they're calling out. These people were clearly warned. I mean, it's one of those things where you tell your kids, if you do this and disobey, this and this and this and this is going to happen. When they come back and they've disobeyed, you go, I don't care. You knew. I made it so clear to you what I expected of you. You are going to get all these consequences. And that's where Moses is. Because it wasn't a question of, is there a God? But it's which God are you going to serve? Which one are you following after? And I'm going to tell you, if you choose to follow after the false ones, you're going to be in trouble. So now we're just going to move right into chapter 9. Because chapter 9 sticks with this warning the people, you're going to be tempted to think you did it on your own. And what's interesting is Dr. Cindy Parker in my JUC class, she said landlessness is a problem, but landedness has its different set of problems. So it's not like, hey, if you all made it through the wilderness, man, you're golden, smooth sailing from here. It's like, no, we're walking into a new set of problems. And so Moses, he's going to bring back that, all right, here we go. I'm going to warn you. You're going to look at bigger, larger nations. And you're going to be scared. And if you don't wipe them out, you're going to fall and worship their idols. So, Erica, if you would read chapter 9, verses 1, 2, and 3, please.
1, 2, and 3. Okay. Listen, O Israel. Today you are about to cross the Jordan River to take over the land belonging to nations much greater and more powerful than you. They live in cities with walls that reach to the sky. The people are strong and tall, descendants of the famous Anakite giants. You've heard the saying, who can stand up to the Anakites? But recognize today that the Lord your God is the one who will cross over ahead of you like a devouring fire to destroy them. He will subdue them so that you will quickly conquer them and drive them out, just as the Lord has promised.
All right. So Israel is going to know. I mean, I love that God tells them through Moses, here's where you're heading into. Here, I mean, wouldn't it be nice if you went, hey, here's going to be the things that are going to scare you in the next 6 months. Here's the things you're going to be worried about. Here's the things that are going to the problems that are going to look too big. But I want you to know I already got it.
That sounds wonderful because we are right now dealing with a senior in high school.
Yes.
Who is a planner.
Yes.
And it is really throwing her that she's not sure what to do.
Right.
And it would be wonderful. And we have encouraged her, but like to have a Moses come along.
But to have complete, like, here's the plan.
Right. Here's what's going to happen in the next 6 months. And here's all the issues I'll take care of.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, to me, it would be, because I am a planner too, so much more, okay.
Right.
You got this.
Right.
But then what I love in verses 4-6, Moses, I'm not going to have you read it because Moses says it over and over and over again. It's basically, hey, don't think you're amazing. Don't think you did it. God did all of this because he is in control. But I do want to point out that Moses is saying, as these people are getting taken out, oops, I need to get to chapter 9. As these people are being taken out, who are stronger than you, you're going to start to kind of go, I did it. But look why God took them out. It was on account of the wickedness. So going back to what we talked about last week, when God has the people destroy a people, it's because they're wicked. It's not because it was willy-nilly, well, you're in the way. No, it's because these were wickedness that God was dealing with. But then in verse 6, Moses reminds the people, hey, don't forget, you're stiff-necked. You can be just like them. Stiff-necked is a Hebrew idiom saying headstrong. And Israel in itself has no right to inherit the land. Israel, you are no better than they are. But you go back to what we talked about last week. You are that treasured possession. You are chosen. So now, if you'll read verses 7 and 8.
Remember and never forget how angry you made the Lord your God out in the wilderness from the day you left Egypt until now. You have been constantly rebelling against him. Even at Mount Sinai, you made the Lord so angry he was ready to destroy you.
Interesting you have Mount Sinai there.
Because it's Horeb.
It's Horeb in the Hebrew. Anyway, probably because it's more of a kid's Bible.
Right.
But anyways, with that, Moses is like, hey, don't forget. And now he's going to spend the rest of chapter 9 and chapter 10 reliving different incidents when they ticked God off.
Oh, thank you, Moses.
I know. I mean, you're going to hear some passion. And verses 9-14 is all about the golden calf incident from Exodus 32. I just want to point out a couple things. First of all, in verse 9, Moses says he didn't eat or drink. He had been 6 days before seeing God, which actually the commentators say would give his body time to, quote, cleanse his bowels so that he wouldn't need to go to the bathroom the whole time he's being with God. And the commentators were saying it's because there was no need to attend to bodily functions. Which is just a fascinating...
That's just a weird... I never thought about it till you asked me that a few months ago.
Right.
40 days and nights. I mean, he didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He didn't drink. So God just like miraculously, he didn't go to the bathroom.
Right. Which for some people would be like a dream come true.
Right.
But you go, oh yeah, didn't even... But what do you do? Excuse me, God, I need to go to the bathroom.
Right.
I mean...
And where do you go to the bathroom?
Right.
Like the Lord is here.
Right. So just that God would take care of that and Moses would include that.
Right.
It's just, again, paying attention to those details. And you'll see a couple different 40-day events because 40 always signifies a divinely ordained event. You see that with Moses. You see that with Jesus. And this whole story... is we go back to, I want you to remember, land is always part of the story. And by bringing up Horeb, not Mount Sinai, according to Erica's translation, it's that backcloth to the whole narrative. Don't forget, there's history here. There's lessons here. There's people and memories that are going on. And then I'm going to jump to verse 10 real quick. The 10 Commandments is the only time in the Torah we see God writing something. Which is interesting because then you go, okay, how many times do you see Jesus writing anything? in the New Testament?
Just one that I can
That's
think
the only
of.
one I could think of. So you've got God writing the 10 Commandments
Yeah.
and Jesus writing in the sand. I don't know if there's a connection there or but you don't see this picture regularly. Now, verse 12, it says God took them out. God says, sorry, let me restate that. God says, you took them out. As in Moses, you took those people out. So you can have God being angry and even alienated from the Israelites. Or commentators say God wanted to emphasize to Moses, you were betrayed by the people too. Or God wanted to emphasize Moses' role in the Exodus. So you have nobody's really sure why God would word it that way, because in a way you want to go, God, you took them out.
Right.
But he's bringing Moses and Moses, you did it. They're your people. And so that just brings up different.
Kind of sounds like a parent to me. I'm like, Brian, your child.
Uh-huh.
That's what it sounds
Or
like.
a sister to a sister, your mother. Not that we've ever said that.
We have a wonderful mother. We've been
Yes.
very blessed.
But now, verse 14. Erin, will you read that?
14. Leave me alone, so I may destroy them and erase their name from under heaven. Then I will make a mighty nation of your descendants, a nation larger and more powerful than they are.
Yes. And there's so much in this that I want to say. But the nice thing is I don't have to, because we have a whole episode where Erica says it all. Episode 138, where Erica talks about Moses and God in this discussion and grace in favor. So instead of rehashing it, go listen to episode 138. Now, we're going to kind of transition. Verses 15 through 21, Moses is going to talk about what happened when he came down and he saw the golden calf. Because what's crazy is the idol was made in full view of a mountain that's blazing with fire because God's presence is there. And the people are violating, in the moment, the very commands Moses is about to bring down to them. Don't make an idol. Don't make a golden image. And they wanted the very thing Moses was up there getting. Moses is up there getting the directions, the instructions on how to build the tabernacle so God can dwell with them. And they're down there going, we need something that represents God. And it's just crazy how they were impatient. They got into that. Because truthfully, calves and bulls were common images in the ancient Near East. It was a symbol of creative power, fertility, and a lot of the Canaanite gods were calves or bulls. And so you see where, again, God is saying, you're not going to use any image. Because truthfully, you could probably find, I don't know this, I haven't looked into the commentaries, you could probably find any image you wanted. A god, a quote, small g god, has been used and represented by that image.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Really, yeah, it would make sense.
You could turn anything you want into, this is my God, and God goes, I'm not going to have anything.
Yeah.
I've put my image on one thing, and that's people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing else that's going to represent me. And then Moses reminds them of their parents' sin. And okay, why, Moses? Well, because every nation, every people group needs to know about and acknowledge its good and its bad history. Don't think you're great. You've had your mistakes. Don't judge the other nation. You're so terrible. We haven't done that. Well, you have your own set of mistakes, but you also need to learn from it. And that's what Moses keeps coming back to is, you've done this. This is part of our history. Learn and do differently. And so again, we have Moses again not eating. It seems to be a second 40-day time period, but maybe with a different purpose here. Commentators aren't really sure. But what I do like is in verse 19. Erin, if you'll read that.
19. I'm quickly looking for it. There it is. I feared that the furious anger of the Lord, which turned him against you, would drive him to destroy you. But again, he listened to me.
I mean, just a quick, simple statement where Moses would say, by the way, I saved you from destruction.
Again.
But he doesn't dwell on it. I mean, if I was writing the story, it'd be like, okay, wait a second. I need to tell you how this conversation went down. You need to remember how I keep going to bat for you. And then in verse 20, we learn something we didn't know in Exodus. Can you read verse 20?
The Lord was so angry with Aaron that he wanted to destroy him too. But I prayed for Aaron and the Lord spared him. Yeah, that doesn't come up in Exodus.
It doesn't. And so then you go, okay, why not? Now, by this point, Aaron is dead. And so it could be maybe Moses was trying to preserve Aaron's dignity while he was alive. Because truthfully, if I heard, hey, God wanted to kill that leader over there, it might ruin me for the rest of the time to want to listen to that leader.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, God wanted you dead and Moses intervened. So
yeah, that's true.
You've dropped a lot of pegs in my world. So that might be why now we get that information rather than back in Exodus. And then we get verses 23 to 29. Moses is moving off the golden calf incident, but he's going to come back to it. But he's going to bring up another time they've upset the Lord. And this one is actually found in Numbers chapters 10 through 14. And so what you see in verses 22 to 24, we get locations again. Because all those locations, don't forget, have backstories. You get places where the people complained and for the Lord for an unknown reason, and fire ravages the outskirts of their camp until Moses prays for them. You get where the people lack water and they complain that Moses took them out of Egypt to die. Then you have where they complain that they're tired of the manna and the meat and life was better in Egypt. And then you have God giving them quail and a plague. Okay? Because the whole point is all of these, when these cities get mentioned, there's memories. There's stories there. They're constantly connected. And so we can't just pass over and go, oh, that's a city, I don't care. No, go back and see if you can find what happened there, because sometimes you'll find out, oh, story after story happens in this location. Get used to looking at a map, making those connections, because Moses is constantly, and those people, because it's, quote, their story, they know, oh, yeah. Like if I can say to Erica, the blue van. Okay, we actually just were talking about
Thank you for bringing that one up.
Okay, why did you smile and laugh as soon as I said the blue van?
Because I crashed the blue van. Well, somebody hit me. A Lincoln, I think. A guy driving a Lincoln and destroyed both vehicles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Erica stopped at the stop sign, pulled out, and this guy was going way too fast and T-boned her.
Right.
But that is a story in the family. All I have to say is the blue van.
Right.
And you get that. There's other stories that go with the blue van and purchasing the blue van.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to get into. That blue van had to have bubble top and it couldn't go in the garage. And every winter, every Sunday morning, I'd go start the car. So it'd be warm.
Did?
Yes, it would be warm when we went to church.
I didn't know you did that.
I know.
I appreciated it.
I know. So, but that's what it is. Moses can throw out little snippets like that and they all go, oh, I know what story he's talking about. Mm-hmm. But I love this. Erica, if you would read verse 24 with maybe a little attitude.
Verse 24. Yes, you have been rebelling against the Lord as long as I've known you.
I just like that.
Mm-hmm, that sounds.
I like that Moses has some tone.
Little cranky man.
Yes. And so now it's okay. You've been rebellious as long as I've known you, but then we're going to get, and here's how I've prayed for you. And so verse 25, basically through the rest of the chapter, is the content of Moses's prayer. And I want you to see in verse 27, he brings up the patriarchs because, again, he's referring back to, hey, remember that Abrahamic covenant that you made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? That is still in effect. God, you can't abandon these people as horrible because they've been rebellious as long as I've known them, because you made a promise to Abraham. And he talks about how in verse 29, God's intention is to make Israel his own people. And we have been developing that point through this whole book. And this verse closes the prayer with a summary statement of deliverance and election together. So will you read verse 29?
But they are your people and your special possession, whom you brought out of Egypt by your great strength and powerful arm.
So God had delivered them and he chose them. And what's interesting is you almost in a way see as Moses reminds God, you wanted to destroy them a few times and I intervened. And God, you changed your mind and you didn't destroy them. And one of my commentaries says, with God as our model, we can appreciate that an authority can change his or her mind and still remain an authority.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know. I mean, but think about it. There are times I have made a rule for my children.
Yeah.
And then they, in the right way, respectfully come back and go, but what about?
Yeah.
And we have a discussion and I go, you know what?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see it.
I'm willing to take back what I thought. And we actually just got an email about God changing his mind. You responded.
I did.
She's looking at me like blank.
Well, I didn't know what you were talking about at first, but yeah.
And I get saying that God changes his mind is a hard, can be kind of a jarring thought because you go, God is unchangeable. He is immutable. Mm-hmm. My response back was that God's character is never changing. God will always be loving, just, faithful, right. But we do see in this whole conversation that we've been looking at with the golden calf of Moses going, God, you can't destroy them. They are your people. And he's going to get into, God, if you had destroyed them, this is what the other nations were going to say. And so God changes his mind. And to me, it's more, I'm going to delay the punishment. It's not, God is still going to punish evil. We have seen that over and over in these last couple chapters. But okay, because of repentance, because of Moses, because of you going on behalf of the people, I'll delay the punishment. I'll change my mind on the punishment. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But here's the thing. The story doesn't actually end here. But I've gone long today, which I'm fine with. Mm-hmm. But we're going to end it here because the momentum is going to change as we move into chapter 10. Things are looking bleak. Moses has no problem saying, you've been a pain, and here's all the ways you've been a pain. The people have not been living up to their potential, even when they've had God in their midst, even though when they could see him on the mountain and the fire, and they could hear all the thunder, and they could hear the trumpets. But chapter 10, things are going to start to turn around and go in a more positive direction.
Oh, good.
Yes. So we will leave that for next week. But as for now, I'll be short and say, have a good week.
Bye-bye.